just in Baton Rouge last week, week before last, whatever. If you go to Baton Rouge, if you go to Louisiana, then there are people from the back country who sound one way, and people who are not from the back country that sound another way. And people have an ear for that. So someone saying, you know, I don't recognize a regionalism in your voice, that's very real. But for someone to then years later to no longer have the excuse of being a child, thinking like a child, to then point out that the substance of what you think is problematic and somehow makes you inauthentic, I think that's a problem. I think it's constipating. I think it's limiting. And it confines, I say us, I mean now black people, to a very limited definition of who we are and who we can be. Now, as just for fun, because sometimes people don't believe me, it's all just you're making it up. I thought I might share with you some of the comments that have been left on my website over the years. It's fun. If you have delicate ears, I apologize because some of it can be a little bit rough. You're a bleeping sellout, Uncle Tom. You make white people proud. I am sorry to share a race with you. You are one of the black men who has found some success and have the audacity to run around spouting this personal responsibility stuff for black men. Wait a second. I just want to read that again, because that one kind of tickled me. You are one of the black men who has found some success and have the audacity to run around spouting this personal responsibility stuff for black men. Let me see. I feel that you are a white man trapped in a black body and you hate the hell out of it. What up, Joseph? I'm an aspiring rapper from New Orleans, and I Googled you to tell you how much of a bitch-ass nigga you sounded on Black in America. I actually wrote him back. Hey, try some. I guess you're wondering, well, when does the fun start, right? I read some of these to my wife, and I was laughing, as I am now. And she said, that doesn't sound funny to me. And all of a sudden it occurred to me, I said, you know what? Well, when I first read it, it didn't sound very funny either. This guy, hey, try bleaching cream and some lye on that hair. Maybe get a blonde. Make a t-shirt out of the photo op with George and Arnold. That would be George Bush and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Nah, just cook, grin, and undermine. The cooking is in reference because I have recipes on my website. I like to cook. And I like to watch Project Runway. Recently, actually, a new Facebook friend of mine emailed me that she had my book out at work. And was laying on her desk, and one of her black coworkers walked by and said, you know, he hates black people. Because of the substance of what I believe, I am suddenly not only inauthentic, but I'm a race traitor, a race hater, dangerous to other black people. John Edgar White, in his book Father Long, talks about race being part of racism. And he says that the game of race is a game that you cannot win because the creators of race deal the cards, make up the rules, and declare the value of all the cards that are played. And I would suggest that the same is true for the game of racial authenticity. It's a game you cannot win because the guardians at the gate are the ones making up the rules, the ones dealing the cards, and declaring the value of those cards depending on the hand that's being played. And I'll give you an example. I wrote a column, this was a couple of years ago actually. I'm giving you an old example, but I'm going to follow it up with a newer example, more recent example. A couple of years ago I wrote a column, and in it I quoted Frederick Douglass. And actually the quote I was looking for online was a Frederick Douglass quote. But the quote, and I'm going to paraphrase it, was Douglass responding to the question, what should we do with the Negro? And Douglass says, look, don't do anything with us. You keep trying to do stuff with us, and that's playing the devil with us. Leave us alone. Allow us to stand or fall as men. That's the basic idea of the quote. And I happen to agree with that. Well, some knucklehead wrote in response that he dismissed the entire column, the substance of the thought, the idea, because Frederick Douglass was married to a white woman. Now this is clearly an idiot. I mean, I think we can agree. The idea that somehow he is more authentic than this former slave, a great man like Frederick Douglass. So that we properly deposit into the idiot box. But he's not alone. Ward Connerly was here, I heard, not too long ago. Well, for those of you who don't know, Ward Connerly is head of the American Civil Rights Institute and has been an advocate for doing away with racial preferences across the country. Years ago, he led the fight for Prop 209 in California, which basically did away with racial preferences in hiring and college admissions in the state of California. During a debate with Diane Watson, who at the time was a state senator and is now a congresswoman, Senator Watson accused Connerly of being a race traitor. He hates his own people. He wants to be white, as you know, the stuff I read. Proof of which is the fact that he is married to a white woman. I can't tell you how often response to something that I write, somehow someone works in whether or not I love white women. And my favorite line from Blazing Saddles, Cleavon Little. Where the white women at? Seen the movie, great. Or that somehow I'm to be dismissed because I'm married to a white woman. I have to tell you, I was speaking at Columbus State University. Very similar kind of talk. And two young ladies, I guess they didn't like what I was saying and got up and were exiting. Right about the time I'm talking about this issue of whether or not my wife is white and how important it is. Without missing a beat, one of the girls turned around and said, well, is she? Well, of course, I burst out laughing, as did a lot of other people in the audience. The irony went right over her head for a moment. She didn't understand why everyone was laughing. And then she got it, that she had fallen into her own trap. First of all, it didn't have anything to do, whether my wife is or isn't, it doesn't have anything to do with the substance of what I'm talking about. But for the record, my wife is black, just in case somebody's making notes.